Everybody, I'm Stephen Powell,
And I'm Daily Powell.
and we are the committee chairs for the greater Paducah Young Life area.
Hi, I'm Mary Hunter Hancock. I am over in Western Kentucky in Paducah.
We love teenagers. We're passionate to see them come to know and love Jesus. And so that's why we want Young Life here. And just like any town, there's teenagers have the need for a relationship and someone to point them to Jesus. And so that is our heart behind this. We love teenagers and we love God and want them to have a relationship with Jesus. And so that's why we want Young Life here in Paducah.
I was able to experience Young Life as a teen and just remember how impactful and what confidence it gave me to be able to hear every week that God loves me just the way I am. I think every kid deserves to hear that sweet reminder every week. Our Young Life journey got started really in the midst of a pandemic, as many others did as well. So it's been a rather slow go for us over here in Western Kentucky, but our committee has stayed really dedicated. We've been working with each other for about the last 2 years and stayed pretty committed through some really awkward Zoom calls as we introduce people in the community to Young Life. It's been definitely challenging, but I know one we'll look back on and we'll really remember a lot of interesting and funny things about it.
I'm just so thankful to be a part of Young Life, thankful that we get to be a part of this area. It's been a fun process. It's been a hard process, starting an area during COVID, but God's been good to us in the way that He's provided committee members and people in the community that rally around us, some that know Young Life and some that have no previous experience with Young Life, but just jumped on board. God's put in their heart a mission for kids.
Really, I could count on two hands the amount of people in Paducah that had heard of Young Life before. So we had a big mission ahead of us and still obviously do.
God's moved a lot throughout all of this. There was times where my wife and I are not originally from here, and we're considering a move back home for us. And right at that juncture of trying to figure out if we're going to go home or not, and God provided us some people that knew what Young Life was and gave us a little bit of purpose for being in Kentucky, purpose for being here in Paducah. And we really feel drawn to that. And I'd say God showed up in a big way there.
We've seen God work in so many ways throughout this 2-year journey. I think every committee member could come up with a different story about how they've seen Him work in different scenarios. I think the thing that stands out for me the most is just from the beginning, how God so perfectly put the pieces and the people together that have a passion for bringing Young Life to Paducah together. It can be seen in Andrew's work as he introduced a girl from Mississippi to a couple from Texas that was new to Paducah. Our paths probably would have never really crossed.
We have obviously an area established a little over a year ago. We've had the privilege of forming a committee and actually taking 13 kids to camp this past summer, and have continued ministry with them and are looking to hire an area director.
Andrew was at one of our committee meetings and kind of mentioned in passing, oh, even though you don't have a leader yet for your group, you could still send kids to camp. So all of us, that had the Young Life camp experience jumped on board and started recruiting pretty heavily for kids to go to camp.
Some of the kids that went to camp had the best week of their lives.
When you get a text from your 14-year-old son the last day of summer camp that says, "This place changes people," that's what every parent wants for their kid. And I know once those type of interactions and conversations and exchanges start taking place, I have a feeling that it'll be the last time that Paducah sends only one bus to summer camps.
Going and listening to those kids talk about camp and the way it changed their lives and different perspective it gave them on walking with Jesus and what it can be like to be a high energy, fun kid and also take your faith seriously was just cool to be around.
And really, once we started that effort, our fundraising took off. It had been a little slow before that, trying to get people engaged and donating money to something that they really don't know much about. But once we got our kids to camp, it kind of took off from there. And we're excited to say, I think this summer we ended up actually 30% over our annual budget. So we were thrilled with that, and know the momentum will keep up as we keep talking about Young Life and move forward. Even though we still don't have a leader, we're searching and praying for that perfect fit to enter Paducah.
Yeah, and our hope long-term for the Paducah community and the Young Life community here is that Paducah can kind of serve as a hub for all of far west Kentucky. It's kind of one of the key towns, bigger towns, one of the hub cities, and our desire is to see Young Life start and thrive here, and then very quickly move outwards into some of the other smaller communities, and just spread Young Life all throughout far west Kentucky is our long-term desire for our area.
So we're so excited that Young Life is going to be here in Paducah, and just have already seen God's hand just in the lives of teenagers here, and it's been so exciting to be a part of, so humbling, and God is obviously just doing a work here in this town.
Having somebody specifically devoted to bringing Young Life to your area is one of the most important pieces, I think, of the Young Life puzzle. As a Young Life kid, you have no idea all the things that go on behind the scenes. Andrew, from the beginning, connected us. He was available to answer every question imaginable from community members, from committee members, tech questions, fundraising questions. He attended a lot of late night Zoom calls, drove across the state initially for all of our committee meetings, helped us price out camp for kids, which is extremely complicated. And my favorite is that he just volunteered to go to camp with our campers for the first time, really just to document their experience for our growth here in Paducah. We would not be here if it weren't for Andrew. He has been patient, he has been available, and most importantly, he's such an encouragement to all of us. So thank you for supporting him and other area developers across the country, especially in Kentucky. We really thank you. They are truly doing God's work.